So the guy that installed it didn't drive my mic. So the mic could not talk properly. I think that was the problem. Why you guys couldn't hear me before. Okay, it's recording now. So where we stopped, we're talking about typefaces and typography. So I will start from the top. So I said today we're talking about typography in design and layout using CorelDRAW. So I define typography as the art and technique of arranging type to make written language legible. So when we say type, we are talking about text like this, right? This text that you can see on your screen, right? That's what we mean by type. Then to make written language legible, right? So you can see what I wrote here, typefaces and fonts. You can easily read it. Now there are some fonts that I might use to type this, and it might be difficult for some people to understand what I wrote there. For example, this is S, this is still S, and this is still letter S. This might be somewhere. If not that I told you that this is letter S, some persons will know that this is letter S, right? So through typography, we get to understand the kind of fonts that we are allowed to use in a design, right? The kind of font that works for you as a designer. So we said to make it legible and readable and appealing. So it involves choosing the right typeface, adjusting the typefaces. All right. So as the font is like this, it is possible for us to be able to increase the size of this font by using our font size, any of these numbers, typing whatever size we want. Now, if you're not using that, we can also increase our fonts by dragging them at the edges. Now, here's one thing I want you to know. Whenever you are typing a font in a design, don't stretch them, right? When we say stretch, don't use this side, this or this, except you are trying to create something. Maybe you're trying to be creative, trying to create something. But if you type a text and you want to make it bigger at any point in time, it's better you drag by the edge. So we have 4 edges here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you drag by the edge, the font is going to increase and still maintain the shape of the font, right? Or you can easily just type the font size here, right? Then we said it involves choosing the right typefaces. So they are the kind of fonts you're going to use in a particular design that you're not allowed to use in another, right? So each font passes a particular message. So you can't just use a font because it looks stylish, because the font looks fine. You just use it, right? So we have fonts that works as a body. We have fonts that work as header. We have fonts that are very good for your footer, right? So that is like the three aspects of whether you are making a flyer, you're making a business card, letterhead. These three aspects is what we can divide this design into: the header, the middle, which is the body, and then the footer, right? So stuff like this are what you consider, and they are fonts that you're supposed to use for this kind of designs. For example, if we look at this stuff we did yesterday, let's divide it. So here we might say from here to here is our header where we have the logos and stuff. From here to here we have the body, right? And down here is our foot, right? So if you notice, here we have the medium font, and here we have the one that is kind of bold, and then we have like a more tiny one here. Now every font here we have is from a particular font family. So when we start explaining font family, you get to understand what I'm talking about. So guidelines, understanding the fundamentals of typography is essential for effective graphic design. So here are some key principles. So getting to know typefaces and fonts and what is their differences. So when you say what is a typeface and what is a font, you get to understand what each of these things mean, and then you can like separate one from the other, right? So what are typefaces? So typefaces are the different styles of letters. Typefaces are the different styles of letters, while fonts are specific variations of those styles. So choose fonts that complement design to pass the message and the style. So we say typefaces are the different types of styles of letter. So for example, if you want to explain this now, we'll say we have We have countries in Africa, right? Let's say Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon, right? So let's say maybe those ones are typefaces. Now under Nigeria, we now have Imo State, Abuja, Lagos. All these are states under them, right? So it's the same thing for fonts where we have typefaces, and under each typefaces, there are now fonts that fall under them, right? So and under the typefaces, we have what we call the serif typeface. We have what we call the sans serif typeface. We have the display typeface. We have handwritten typeface, and then monospace. Basically, this is five. Now, out of these five that we have here, we now have these three, which are like the main ones. So these three here, out of them, we can even get every other one that here underneath here. So sometimes handwritten can fall under scripts, right? As you can see, script is not written here. So handwritten can fall under scripts. So now let's now explain what are serif fonts. If you're talking about serif fonts, what do we mean by, okay, that this is a serif font? So if I should zoom in closer, so serif fonts always look like this. They have a small decorative line, or you call it a flourish, or you call it a cap. So if you are conversant with police, you know, maybe the one outside country where they say sheriff, right? So it is like a cap on the head. So a serif font. So whenever you see a font type like this, having this kind of edges on the letters, you know that this is a serif font, right? Then we now have the sans serif. So the sans serif, they are just plain stroke sans serif. Do not have flourish at the end. So they are more of like modern fonts. So if you look at most of the recent brands that have made rebranding, for example, PayPal, MTN, Free Pick. Just look around. In fact, if you look around on most brands currently, especially in the tech space or innovation, kind of medical, you will notice that most of the brands are tilting towards sans serif. Now, the reason is because in this age and time of design we are in like simplicity, where things are being simplified. We don't want it to look so complex. But in the full branding, you might not have other stuff that have to go with it. But for the fonts, for the text and stuff, we'll go for like simple kind of fonts. So fonts that looks like this are called sans serif. Now, example of a serif font, the most popular one that you yourself might have known if you have done projects in school, you know of Times New Roman, right? So Times New Roman is a serif font, and it has something like this, right? Now, then we don't have the sans serif. I told you sans serif, an example of that is Arial, right? If I click on my text, then you see Arial here. So Arial is like the default font we have here. Now, we have a whole lot of them that are sans serif, from Arial to Calibri is kind of sans serif also. You're going towards Gilroy, TW Scent, Poppins, Monstrat. Um, there's a whole lot of them. As far as they are looking this way, just this way, you will know that they are called sans serif font. An example of a serif, you can see Century. So we have Century that look like serif, and also Century that also look like sans serif. That's to be Century Gothic. I don't know if it's here because I have to install my CorelDRAW back, and most of my fonts are not here right now. So font like that, even Tahoma, yeah, we have Tahoma here. It's also a sans serif font. Trebuch is a sans serif font, right? So that's what we mean by sans serif fonts. Then we now have display. So I think display cut across almost all the fonts, right? Because it means bold and large sized fonts. So even in Arial, under the Arial font, we can still find a bold font, which is Arial Black, right? Why also we have some fonts that are looking like serif, but they are still a display font, like this university I have here. So display fonts are kind of bold. They are kind of look used for like the heading. So for example, you would have seen some flyers where all the fonts there are kind of like smaller, maybe a sans serif font, but then the title for the event. Let me get something. Let me get a flyer I did. Let's show you an example of what I'm talking about. Oh, I didn't export this stuff here. It's still in the CorelDRAW form. Okay, let's open KHC. So if you look at this, every other font here is kind of small, right? Then welcomes core two fellows, which is the biggest one, is bold, right? So when we have bold fonts are used for like header and titles to like bring your attention to the title, right? So for that we use display fonts, display font. But if you look here down in the body, we use a sans serif font that is very, very light. So a sans serif font can also have a display font. A serif font can have a display font, even handwritten, but it just need to be big, bold. So most times, if you want to get like display fonts to use for a design, we can Google and install. I think we're going to teach that here, how to get fonts and install them in our PCs. So display, they are just bold and large size fonts, right? Large size fonts. Then we have the handwritten one, right? So as the term suggests, they look as if they are handwritten, right? They look as if they are handwritten. So I think I saw an example of that inside here. We're going to do all those later. I created a table, so something like this. They look handwritten. Yeah, something like this one. Look as if it was written with a pen. So fonts like this cannot be used for like serious stuffs, right? You can't say MTN or Zenith Bank want to create something and they will be going towards font like this because the font is not giving like seriousness. So maybe you're creating a design for children stuff, you want it to look like childish, a bit fun. We might think towards using a design font like this. So you will now see that fonts also pass messages. Something like this is a handwritten font. And like I told you, they can fall also under, they can fall under script fonts, right? They can fall under script font also. Then we now have monospace, right? Monospace. So from the word mono and space, you know, is singular space between them. So fonts that characters are equally spaced. Now there are fonts that come defaultly that have this monospace. I think I have some of them. So monospace. So you can, if you look in here, gift. Please hold on. Oh my God. I think my tap was on. All right. So we are talking about monospace. So characters that are equally spaced. So if we look at the space between each text here, so you realize that the measurement here and here is kind of equal, and the measurement here and here also, they are all kind of equal. So that's what we mean by monospaced fonts or typefaces. Then, like I told you, the three major ones is sans serif, serif, and script. So if you see a font looking plain like this, as you can see, this is a sans serif font, but it's looking like display. So I told you that even a sans serif font can have a display in their family, right? So I know I've been saying family, family, but you might not understand now. So for our next slide, I'll show you what I mean by all this. So I created a list. So you guys will do this also. This is an assignment. So you create a list like this and give me serif fonts and sans serif. So can you guys hear me? Let me be sure before we continue.
Yes, we can.
All right.
Yes, we can.
So if we are talking, all right, I told you that serif. What did I say? Serif fonts have. If you have been listening to me, so can you give me an example of a serif font?
Times
I
New
know I just
Romans.
caught you off guard. Times New Roman, right? So Times New Roman. So we are going to just type the name Times New Roman. Times New Roman. So we'll look for Times New Roman here. This Times New Roman, yeah. So you can see Times New Roman. I'm not going to bold it. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. Then a sans serif font. Somebody should give me an example of a sans serif font, you know. Let's use Trebuch. So when you select a font, when you want to select a font, it's from up here. You click here and you see a font. So you will find fonts that look similar, but they are different, right? So this is Trebuch, and we're going to type the name also. So the reason I'm typing the name so that you would know them. Then a script font. So you would have seen wedding flyers, or you might have attended weddings. So most times you will have script fonts used in like weddings for their designs. Guy, that tab been there on. So an example of a script font is this. So you can see that script fonts mostly don't really work by using capital letter outro. I've seen some people make designs using script font. Let's say I want to type my name now with script fonts and I use capital letter outro. Look at the difference when I use the first letter as capital and the rest as small letter. You can see the difference. So script font works better when the capital letter is just the first letter is capital and the rest are small letters. So when you understand this, you know that okay, when you have script fonts like this, you wouldn't make everything caps. So the name of this script font is Typo Upright BT. Let me see if he has a family. He doesn't. So most times you might find script font that don't have families. They are just on their own, like they are prodigal sons. But if you check online, you might find the complete family later on. So let's now create a display font. So we said the display font is kind of big, right? So let's just use university. The name of this font is university. And like I said, I'm going to show you guys how to download fonts later on. So as you're going to make this table, remember, and I'll be needing a different example entirely. So that I'm using Times New Roman, you'll find another serif font that is not Times New Roman. An example of another serif font is Camembra. So just have to look for like the characteristics. I told you that serif fonts they look like how they look like, and you get to know them. So most times you might be working for clients and they just tell you use a serif font. If you don't know it, you're going to have like a problem. So you make you look as if you are not professional. So now we're looking for a font that look handwritten. So we'll use this one, Sergio Print. Yeah, they have brought lights. These people will kill us with music. Sergio Print. Then for monospaced, hey, where's that font I used before? Yeah, let's use this one. The name of this font is OCR. All right. So now we now know what are fonts and what are typefaces. So typefaces are like the classes of food, right? So where we have carbohydrates. Under carbohydrates, we now have yam. Now, if you now see under yam, we now have yam and egg, yam and beans, yamarita, yam sauce, fried yam, right? So under fonts, we now have the fonts family, all right? Under the fonts, we now have what we call the fonts family. I'm going to duplicate these stuffs and bring them here also. So now I'll now show you example of them. So inside the Times New Roman, if you go into Times New Roman, you'll see that there's Times New Roman regular, Times New Roman italic, Times New Roman bold, and Times New Roman bold italic. All right. So this means that this is their font family. This is what we mean by a font family. So under a typeface, there's a font. Under a font, there's a family. Right. So if you want to now make a design, it is possible for you to just use only the font family in the full design. You wouldn't need to like now use a serif font and a sans serif font, or use the whole family: serif, sans serif, script, display, handwritten, monospace. I've seen flyer designs most times where designers do this like this. I can count up to like 7 different type of fonts on a particular design. It is very, very wrong. It is advisable that you use at least one font, or you use two at most, right? Now, if you're using a particular font, you are allowed, I'm going to sound this very well. When using a font, you are allowed to use all the font families as much as you want. So for instance, the first Times New Roman we have here is called regular. So I'm going to just name this uh, regular, right? And after regular, I have italic, right? I'm going to put a comma to separate them. Then we have bold, and then we have the bold italic. So when we say italic, you should know what I mean already. It means to italicize. So for most fonts, you might not be able to bold it from here like I did, because they can have more than what is. So you can see the difference. So if you are making a design, a particular design, you can decide to use this, and use this, and use this, just like we did here. Yeah, in this particular design, you can, if I use my text now, tap here, you see that this is Gilroy heavy, this is Gilroy medium, this is still Gilroy medium, and heavy. This is medium also. I think I use bold somewhere. It's just heavy and medium I used. So that Gilroy now, you can get the full pack. I'm going to show you how. I think it's Gilroy. I'll teach you how to download. There may be another font. So here we have the regular italic, bold, and bold italic. Then treble. So also for sans serif font. Sans serif font, most times when you download them, they have a whole lot. Okay, I'm glad you just have only 4 of them here. I think it's treble. But there are some that you will have regular, normally, thin, different kind of one in that same font pack, right? So when you have that font pack, so when downloading a font, make sure you're downloading the full font pack, especially if you want to be doing brand designing, right? Because in your brand identity package, you're going to like specify the fonts you used for the brand, and then how the clients can use them. So let's do the same thing that we did for the first one. What did they name theirs? I think it's the same thing: regular, bold, and italic stuff. So instead of going through that, let me see if I can just duplicate this and change it to the font treble, right? So you can see the difference. So we can actually pair a sans serif font and a sans font, right? sans serif font and the sans font when making a design. Please, if you have received a mail from me, just specify later, right? Not now. Then for those people who have not received the mail of the software, their own list should be different. Let them not continue with those old people list, so they will know people that we are done with. So a new list to be created for the new group of people who are trying to collect. I don't know why you guys don't want to go to engineer to do this stuff for you guys. So as you can see, this typo upright, I don't have the full family, so we are just going to use it like that. So I think it's just the regular. It's the regular that is here. So most times, most of these ones come in just their regular form, just like this one also. I think this one came in the bold form. There should be like the regular form for this also. So most times the display fonts, they come in bold, just bold form most times. Unless if the designer that made it created other ones. Now, mind you, these fonts are also created by designers. So there's another assignment. Research about fonts designers. So those guys, they don't design flyers or stuff. What they design is fonts, right? So that is basically their own job. They create fonts. So you can see in this handwritten one, we have the regular and we have bold. So I'm going to do for it here also. So we have regular, we have bold also. So I can bold this one actually. So here's the regular and here's the bold. So when using this font, you are allowed to use both the regular and the bold. I think this, okay, this one I have complete package also. What's the difference? This is regular and this is another regular, but they are a bit different. I think the space, regular A, regular B. So let's just, so let's get to see what the difference is. If I make this one to a regular B, I think the letter E is different, right? So if you look at the font, the E of this one is different from this E. The U is different from this. So this one is more looking like a kind of like an handwritten font. Okay, it's rounded. If you look at it, the edges are rounded. Why this one is kind of straight, right? I think that's the difference between both of them. So this is like a simple chart to explain typefaces and fonts. So with this chart, you can be able to understand the difference between a typeface and a font, and then you now know fonts family. So this applies to like almost every font that you have, right? Almost every font that you have. So that is it about fonts. Then we're going to move to hierarchy. What do we mean by hierarchy? What does hierarchy do in design? So hierarchy and fonts. So typefaces are the different styles of letters, like we said, while fonts are specific variations of those styles. So we choose font that complement the design message and style. All right. Then for hierarchy, we'll say hierarchy help us to create a clear visual hierarchy by varying font size, weight, bold, regular, etc., and their style. So if you're talking about the weight, we're talking about their boldness or regularity or medium or semi-bold. But if we're talking about style, we're talking about italicizing or underlining. So we can also underline texts to show that their style. So underlining is also a part of style, right? And this can be used in hierarchy. So for instance, let's go back here. So I think I'll use this design to basically do most of the explanation about hierarchy. So we said hierarchy create a clear visual, and so they help us emphasize important informations, right? They help us emphasize important informations. So let's look at something. Let's make an example out of this, because I like to make examples to like help you understand what we're talking about perfectly. So I'm going to like re-edit this stuff and watch now. So maybe I make, let's say this fonts that we use here. We make them so small. Of less importance, right? Um, they will not put this here. Then this name now, instead of making them bold, so it is now this date that will now make so big. Convince you when you're not confident. You realize that you'll be confused now looking at these two designs here. You'll be so confused. You might even feel that this is the title of the event without knowing that this is the logo, right? So hierarchy teaches us that the most important aspect of the design, like where we are trying to push out, should be way bigger. There should be like an emphasis on that particular place, right? So that is the reason why when you see most design, you definitely see that the theme of the program is always bigger than every other thing. Then we have like a sub story beneath, right? So this is bad and this is good. I'm going to cancel this one. This is bad. It's green they use for good. So this is wrong and this is correct. So when making designs, always put this into mind. So hierarchy in text. So if you are, we're going to make another example. I'm going to use like let's say we are doing like the Premier League table. So let's see Premier League table. So number one on the log right now, I think is Manchester. Okay, Liverpool, then Manchester City. Then we have Arsenal. I don't know his fourth. I think it should be Aston Villa. No, I think no. Chelsea's fourth. Any Asha? Then don't worry about Man U. Man U is not anywhere here. That club is not a club. Man U is down, down, down. I can't even remember what I'm doing. Let's just do it like this. Fulham, Leicester, and let's put it there for their fans will find us. All right. So let's say this is the Premier League table, right? And then we have the top four. So to differentiate the Premier League table from others, we are going to make it bold, right? And we might even make it bigger, like this. So now, when we're talking about hierarchy, so we want to now make you know who is number one on the table. We can make the number one to be bold, or maybe we say from number one to number four, they are all bold because they are going towards the Champions League. Then number one, we might increase his fonts to 45, just to show that he is bigger than the others, right? Then these ones here, I think these two they go to Europa League. 38, 35. Now, looking at this alone, if you're looking at this table alone without telling you, you will understand what we are talking about. I think there's still a little bit of similarity between this 7, 8, 9 and this. Let's make it 30. Oh, wow. So the fonts that even when you're making like tables or you're making even a sponsorship deals, like say you have seen like posters now where they will say, um, let me just do a quick poster here now. Let's say maybe this is a poster and mm, let's say it's a Grammy performance, let's say Grammy acts. I think I've seen posters like that where there are not even designs on it. Right, then they will put the headliners, make their font so big. So let's say Wizkid, let me use all of them. Let there not be problem. Burna Boy, then underneath we might have Rema, Ashake, Siwa, Thames. I'm going to break these stuffs apart. So Wizkid name now, it might make it so big, right? Come, then Rema might be here a little bit like this. Then maybe Ashake at the side. Then Davido might be here like this. I might have Tiwa Savage, small, big, because she's a queen also. And I think times to have blue small. No, times is big, so let's skip times here. Yeah, we might have Shiggy vibes. Let's see, CK, Fireboy. I don't think CK is even singing. Go away. There was somebody name that came to my mind. Buju. Or his new name is Benson. Let's leave it like that. See why it's no longer big. Savage. Nobody even listens to this girl. Who again sings? These people, they're not even giving me ideas. That's a cheeky. Black Bones. So this like this, they can just make this the complete poster. Then and the rest will just be down here. So I was still trying to talk about um, hierarchy. So looking at these designs we've made here, you realize that without even every other stuff, with just the names, the ones we make bigger, you will see them first before you even see any other name, right? So that's what we mean by hierarchy in design. So when making designs, hierarchy comes into play, right? And it helps us to make emphasis. So another thing we'll be discussing on would be kenning and tracking. Kenning and tracking. All right. Kenning and tracking. Kenning and tracking. So what is kenning and tracking? So kenning is the adjustment of space between individual characters, while tracking is the spacing between group of characters, individual characters. So when we say individual characters, we mean when you read A to Z, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, Y, Z. A is a character, P is a character. So these are individual characters, right? They are individual characters. Then, so if we now said group of characters, the space between group of characters is what we call tracking. So look at this now. So let's say this text that is here, this particular text, let's say this text is so small and we want it to fill up this space, right? So letter G here is a character, letter R is a character, letter A is a character, M, M, Y, whatever they are. Let me check this into Afro beats party. So let's say the font size is 25. And I want this to like fill the whole page, right? I want it to fill the whole page. The basic thing I would have done here is to just go to my shape tool. So here we have a shape tool here and drag this stuff. So if you click on your shape tool and click on any text, you will see a space. You will see something like this. See it down here. So why we didn't see it here is because this text is grouped. So if I click this here and I drag like this, you realize that the text remain the same way, but there are space in between. So you see that. So most times this stuff will not be like this. Let me now change this brand name now. Let's say that is uh, Beatsbox Africa. So we'll change this one to present. Let's say this is present. So we wouldn't bold this one. I'm going to make it smaller, so small. So the present now we can now put present here, right? Beatsbox Africa presents. We'll move this here downwards. Let's say it's Afro party, rave. So I'm going to break this apart. So when texts are together, I want to break them. An easy way to break them is called, you can use Control K. So if I say Control K, I can break this text apart and just increase my rave. You realize that in everything I've done here, I've not used like another font, right? I'm just sticking to the same font, but using different style of arrangements. I think we'll say music headline as, or just a performing artist. So this design now was done with basically black and white and just text. So I will put like stuff like this. So we can add at the bottom here, grab your tickets at Coco Kini Kini. Let's say Beatbox, www.beatbox.com. So you see, I will have to put it at the center also because we are using like a centralized arrangement. So if you were around yesterday when we're treating alignment and kind of arrangement, you understand why we have to arrange everything this way. Let me try something. I want to cover this box to a curve. So with just text and box, you have designed something easy and straightforward without much stress. Now, I can still use, I want to still make this poster look kind of nice. So there's something called Power Clip, right? There's something called Power Clip. I would have done that in another class, but I want to just do everything here for now so that when I introduce Power Clip later again, it wouldn't look new. So Power Clip is like when you are putting rice inside of a plate, a plastic plate, right? And you seal the plate. So you can actually see the rice inside of the plate, but you can't touch it, right? So now, currently, these text are on top of this box, right? And we can touch them actually. Now, if I should power clip this other text that is outside, let me give you another color so that is what I'm saying. If I should power clip these ones that are outside, inside of here, you won't be able to touch it, but you'll be able to see it. Now, there are different ways we power clip text or items into another box. Now, we can basically go to our object tool. So there's the object tool here. Here we'll click and you will see power clip and we'll say power clip inside the frame and you will tap the frame and it will go inside, right? Just like that. Now, another way to our clip is for us to move text or box around, we have to use left click and drag the items around. But this time around, instead of using that, we can drag the text using right click instead. So if you drag with right click and place inside the frame, you see power clip inside. So we'll click on power clip inside and the text has gone inside. So you see it's inside of the box. So we can't even touch it, right? So the only thing we can do now is that we're going to edit power clip. So we'll now have to click on the box, right click, and you see edit power clip. So you click on edit power clip and we can go inside of the box. Now we can now touch these items here. Now here is what I want to do. I want to turn this text to look like the background of the text. So remember I told you about creating your own backgrounds through your own initiative. So I'm going to duplicate this text, Control D. Now I have two. So I'm going to align them to look alike and Control G, duplicate again, duplicate. All right. So I'll click on all of them, Control G, and bring to the center. I don't want to use this yellow because yellow is not yellowing. So I'm going to use these two here. We call it the color eyedropper. I can copy colors from my screen using the color eyedropper. So I'm going to go to select from desktop. And I want to select the yellow I have here. All right. So the moment you select the color will appear here also. So I'll make everything have this color. So you see what is happening here. Now we can't read the text, right? We can't read the text properly. So I'm going to go in and rotate it this way, right? So I am satisfied. So I use 10 degrees. Now I can make this text bigger. All right, let's see how it looks like now. I think it's still showing. So what I'll do next is I'm going to go in here, edit power clip. I'm going to convert this to a picture. So remember I told you that CorelDRAW is a vector-based design software. So when it's vector-based, it means that it can be increased, change colors and stuff. Now I'm going to convert it to a picture. Now a picture in CorelDRAW is known as bitmap, or you say a raster image. So if you look up here, you see bitmap. Here we have bitmap. So I can quickly click on this text as they are grouped, go to bitmap and convert to a bitmap. Now the reason I want to do that is because I could have gone to my transparency tool and make here transparent, like I showed you guys yesterday about transparency, but the text are too much and it might work on my system, but who knows the kind of system you use. If you go and make transparency, your system might lag a bit. So it's better you group them or convert to bitmap, right? And you say, okay, make sure it's RGB, transparent background. Now it is in picture format. Now I can't give this a color. As you can see, there's no more color down here. So the next thing I will do is go to my transparency and I will use uniform transparency. I'll make it very, very transparent. I don't want to see it. So I say 90. So you might not see it. I don't know. You might be seeing it or you're not seeing it. So it's there. So what I want to do now is that color I used, I'm going to just mix up the colors. And I'm going to the big names there. We'll give them like the colors also. Or should we just leave everything there as white? Let me try for the smaller names. Yeah, I think it's better this way. So I want to see, make an effect here. I'll duplicate this stuff and make this one a bit more lighter than the other ones. Nope. Let's delete one. It's not really working. So to select it, you can see now. So you can see how we have applied hierarchy in this simple poster. Right? This is not really hard. So this is another assignment. I'm giving you guys assignments every day. You need to keep doing assignments. Because if you don't do assignments, you will know that you're doing something. So that was drawn with the freehand tool. So you already know how to draw a line already. I think it's already coming out nice. So I want to see whether I can just connect this stuff together. So this is how design used to work most times. As you are designing, you just get some ideas to just add up. I still have some things in my head I want to add to this, but it might look so complex. But since we are still in the beginners level, let's create simple designs like this. So I'm putting this on another slide so that we can look at it properly. You see, it's not that hard to make. Right? So everybody can do this. You would watch the video over and over again. So please, if you have not done any assignments, start following up so that you can follow up and meet us where we are. All right. So I was talking about scanning and tracking, and I told you that before we went here, so you can see that we applied tracking here. I told you that kenning is the adjustment of space between individual characters, and individual characters are like A, B, C, D, even 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, even dot, comma, plus, whatever. All these stuffs are characters, and we can make space in between them by using our tool here, which is called the shape tool. Drag this stuff, drag it, and the space will appear. So I don't want to touch anything here. Let's go back to this. So if I should use the tracking tool here and drag here, you see the space that is going to happen in between each character. Now I told you that tracking instead is the space in between group of characters. So Premier League table is a group of character. Number one, Liverpool is a group of character. Manchester City with this character. So if I want to make spacing to appear in between them, I can easily use my shape tool and drag downwards. So if you drag downwards, you see space in between them like this. There will be space in between them just like this. And you can also reduce the spacing, right? You can do it like this or like this, whatever way you want. So just try out all these things. When you try them out, you can now try them out in design. So they wouldn't really look complex when you're making them. Right. So you have to try out this. I say you have to try out this typefaces, fonts, and fonts family. You get to know serif, Times New Roman, and regular italic. So for those assignment that I said we are going to post it in our group and also on LinkedIn, tagging those accounts, the Coca-Cola account and the you don't just post what you did, you explain what we talked about, right? So you see, today we talked about typefaces and fonts and example of what typefaces are and whatever thing that caught your interest, all right, during the course of the class. Then now I'll create one more poster. The reason I want to do that is so that everybody will do that one with their own name. All right, so you see here, I use just a sans serif font, right? So now I'll be mixing uh, sans serif and serif font. If you have forgotten what a serif font look like, a serif font is Times New Roman, and sans serif are like Trebuch or Century Gothic. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to just use my name. I'll say letter J and letter O. So this will be like a biography about me, who I am, or who am I about to speak the English. So I'm going to use Times New Roman here. Let me find another kind of font that looks. Stop wasting time. Let's use Times. So I'm going to make a very big J. I'm going to make it cut through the page. So remember I taught you about power clipping. I'm going to break it, Control K, right, to break text apart. So I want to make this O come closer here. So this J and O, I'm going to power clip them inside of the box. So for you to power clip, you have to take the item out. So I told you can drag like this and you see power clip inside. All right, edit power clip. Then you can set it to how you want it to look like. So yeah, we can now see I am Joshua. All right, welcome. Internet went off. Said I am a graphic designer. I'm a graphic designer, and my niche is brand identity design. I've designed logos for over is let's just say over 100 logos for a lot. Is a lot together of brands and helped them grow. I also teach and mentor people on becoming better designers. All right, let's just end this here. So I would have to now reduce this into this. So I said I'll be using Trebuch. So I don't want to use the bold one. I'm going to go into the font family and look for the normal one. So like you can see now I'm mixing these two fonts together and they are working well. So yeah, I want to change my name here to not be in this way and make it bold.
Sir, please, I can't see.
Yeah,
I can't see your
I'm
screen.
sharing my
It's
screen
just
room.
the name. We're only seeing the names, not what you are doing.
This time you are saying we. Are you in their house? Let's hear from them. Maybe it's you that is not seeing. Please, other people, can you see?
Yes, we can see.
Because my screen is being shared.
You.
Yeah, so it means that it's you. Your network is bad.
Me, I cannot see now.
Don't worry, you will see tomorrow.
Oh,
Eh,
And I begin to see in Jesus' name. You see, don't worry, you see. Just hold on, you will see very soon. So I'm going to bold the aspects where I talk about what I did. Don't worry, this stuff is being recorded also. So in case you are not seeing now, you might see later. But just move
I am.
around where you are. You should be able to see very soon. Because there's no way I can solve that if your network provider. And once you are able to see in the chat box dark. So I'm going to increase kenning and tracking. You've seen, I believe. Even voice is broken. I'm not hearing you properly.
Your voice is not coming out well.
I'm not talking. I'm not talking. Yeah, you're right. So I'm going to copy my name here. I'm just going to see um, biography. So we actually put it, if you go here, you see shows biography of me. Then what do I want to do? Is like I'm overdoing. So yeah, we can put like social media icons and stuff. We really is if I have my picture, I would have put my head inside here for people to see me. But my head is not there. Let's see. Let me just put and for more. So I guess you guys will know what a barcode is. I don't want to tell you right if you don't go about it. So CorelDRAW 2020, the CorelDRAW 2020 can generate or 2024 or so can generate a barcode, but it, this 2018 can't generate a QR code. What I wanted was a QR code, not barcode. Sorry. I'm going to go to my image. So this is what I mean by code. So you Google, download it or copy. Let me see if I can copy. Ah, they're not me. Try save image. I'm going to check my downloads and see the image I just downloaded. Yeah, it came with background, so there's something we can do to trace this out of the background. So if I right click and I say I can choose any of this, I say so that's the picture to like if format and delete the as. So the first thing I did was to Google a QR code if you want to do this like one of them. Yeah. So this can cover for maybe you're one of those people that send Amazon. So, but the first things first is the idea, coming up with the idea first. So it's not just to use the tools. Idea. So the only way for you to grow your idea is by constant practice, right? So everything I'm doing is for good. So please, just you have to try this thing out. Even this one that I'm doing right. So everybody you're on and you say you're a student at this blah blah blah. So you see what I did there. Let me keep my name. Josh. think this is enough. With just our texts and fonts and some colors, we have created a simple design like that can work for any brand you're working for. Right. So this can be like a cover page inside of something that you're doing. All right. Don't worry about these first two assignments. This one can be like a really for practice. I'm going to send the screen the all this in your group so that you can go through them and understand them on your own. But these are the two assignments, this one and this one, right? You can replace the artist names. Now for this first one, I use sans serif font all through, right? But with different font family, right? I have the bold, I have the regular font, and if you realize, we still applied all those our design rules of balance, of symmetrically or symmetrically. We also did contrast, right? There's contrast in shape. So if you realize the tickets at www.beatbox shape, so this shape is from all the artist is together. So you can see that also apply all those rules whereby we know that okay, these ones are together, they are made smaller than this. The theme for the event is made bigger. Now, if you look here where I did my biography, you see biography that I wrote is way bigger. So the moment you see it like this, you can say, okay, it's biography this guy is talking about. Then this is see my name again here. So basically, it's just about me and what I do, and a fake barcode that we created for you to scan about me and know about me. So you too can do the same, right? So if you do this thing to the practice, try another style, you realize that you start getting, as you can see, everything. I did everything in your front, so there was no like, maybe there was a sample, and these are like basic designs you can make without even design without downloading. But as a designer, you need to know how to download also stuff that you need. So that is why your first assignment on downloading is when these are security codes, right? You can't just go and download this QR code and use for any design because it's looking fancy. No, it's wrong. So you have to like make a, you have to be like the client gave you their own QR code. But if the client doesn't have a QR code, please, I'm begging you, don't use it. But we are just going to download the QR code just because of this class. All right. Now finally, let's touch the last, and I will allow you to go and cook your food and rest. So here we have housing, right? Creating effective layouts. Even from what we have designed right now, so if you see that we have made layouts. So most of all these things that we did here are called layouts. But I'll explain them and you get to understand. So there are some designs like layouts are like templates that guide you in making your design. A very, very good design. Let me check if I stay here before we continue this. Okay, we are still recording. So please, I want guys to know I'm taking attendance. So people are not attending the class. When they in the normal time, people are not in that time. So layout design is the arrangement of visual and textual elements within the design or page. It involves organizing content for both aesthetics and functional. So for both aesthetics and functions. So I already told you what aesthetics meaning the design looking beautiful. Like for example, class is looking beautiful, right? Now the next thing is it functional? Now we get to understand how to design function and also effective, right? So there are lines that helps us in making this kind of designs, right? That help us. Making layout design ensure information is presented in an engaging manner, whereby the first thing, the brand logo. If they don't have a, they will have and right. So for example, Beatbox Africa, they have as I just talked about it, I'm thinking of designing a logo for them, but we don't have enough time. We'll leave only the text, right? So when we start the logo, you want to understand that there are some adjust fonts, right? Even you might switch the font So after the logo, to see present what kind of thing they're doing, an Afro rave, right? So I think they're missing this design, this Afro rave. Just let me help and let's just put, so let's say saxophone. Also just that saxophone. Should I say a lot? Let us get that in there. I was going to something like that. Let's take this one. So I'm going to save this. So we're useful for this time. I'm going to this page. So what I'll do is I'm going to it right. If you want to do it when doing your own, I'm not really saying for that. I just want to add that. So just trace this image. So okay. So I don't need the blue background. Really needed was just it will ungroup them, delete everything of. So let me see how this would come. I'm going to give it a line or so I'm going in to my power click, edit objects. I just feel that something like this should be here. I'm going to delete those also. So I'm going to parent it 93. Is it showing at all? I think it's showing a bit. Let's leave that. I'll place here also. I think I'll use here. Is the problem about design. As I started it now, I need to make it perfect. I'll cut it to a bit because lines there. Let me see how 5 like. Last, we use the one I think. Is very short. So about short and engaging manner. So after we've seen the of the program, then we have our performance artists, right? This kind of arrangement, it is easier for the clients or the viewers to be able to see what we are doing and understand what we are doing, what we are dishing out, right? So when they say, okay, Afro forming, they have seen the names, we didn't put right? If you put location, some people will run down to the place. So it's a paid event. So tickets will be at www.beatbox.com. So they can visit this website and the ticket, and from there they will get a location to the event. Try the guidelines that helps us create good designs is grid system. Grids provide a framework for organizing consistency and alignment. So you can see that we have like rulers, so you can bring here for alignment. But apart from the what we call grid, so if I write say view the grid, right? So you see like lines showing up. Wow, my comment grid issue. I don't know if I know to. Okay, sorry. Yeah, document. This space is too. Lines all over my screen. So if I see I'm making like so you can use this for measurement. So instead of bringing out ruler, let's say okay, I want to design inside of this box, right? I can design inside of just this. So we can leave them or we can leave them out. I don't use this document grids. I using like rulers, bringing the ruler myself and making my own grid. So arrange my own stuff how I want it. Then alignment. So alignment is a organ. So choosing from remember yesterday when somebody was asking me why we use the left alignment taking you about left to enter or justified alignment. So if you are designing, you can choose that. Let's look at this biography. See that with a centralized stuff for the J and the O, right? But for my text, I use left alignment, and yeah, for more and with the arrow code, we use like a standard alignment. So I told you that there are different compartments in design, right? So each department have their own different direction. The way you arrange here might not be the other place. But most times, sometimes when you not arrange it completely, you will now use a particular format, right? For instance, see a Beatbox Africa is at the presents at the center, then and the others, even though they are scattered, but if you look at the arrangement, everything goes centralized. Now I can this in a different way. Maybe I go through left alignment, right? Like we did yesterday. I can push the beat this side movement here, move right? Whatsoever way you want. Using left alignment, you stick with that. If using right, you stick with that. But if in the design you work something like that, you can now try out your hands on different kind of arrangement of alignment. Make sure that everything in the right proportion. All right. And we have white space, right? So white space is another guideline, effective layouts. So white spacing, also known as negative space, is the empty area around and between elements. So I guess we did white spacing yesterday, but we didn't really express it. So when we are saying white space, we're not talking about the space being white, right? Look at the designs here. This spacing around here, all these empty areas around the design, is what we call space. They call white spaces, right? They are called some places also negative space. We use this in putting like hidden messages in logos, right? We are designing, we can make hidden messages logos using negative space. So you start seeing stuff like that, and you understand more about negative space. So these spaces can be empty areas around and between. So they are essential for readability. Now, if between Beatbox and Presents, there's no like everything is just pressed right. You will not be able to understand what you're doing properly. So we all this that so people say allow your designs, right? Allow design breathe, give it enough space. So we create all this space. Our design will have enough breathing space. So it won't be choked up, right? So very important when you design, you look out for us. white space, and then finally composition. So composition involves arranging elements within a layout for visual harmony. Now, to achieve composition, you have to first of all understand background contrast, right? Understand focal points and key considerations. So you can see here on this black place now, I used white text that you can see and use yellow, but it might really work as I want, right? Contrast teaches us on what color to use. Now imagine I use white on this yellow background. See that both of them they are light, we can see it well. So to understand color on. But contrast help us to differentiate various aspects of the design. Not only context, contrast and shape, like I said before. Understand this and implement them in your design. As time goes on, you get better and design will be easier and it looks natural as we did, right? Like I like to say as we here. So our aim for this practical, we apply typography and layout principles. I'm going to create text design, which we did just this, and explore the use of grids, alignment, of space and composition in layout. Session you have found as why typography and layout impacts the effectiveness of your design. So this is crucial. I mean, good words, designer. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to export this file. So I'll keep this one in a separate page. I'll export them together. So remember what I said about this one. This one you're going to make yours using your own name. So know that I don't want that delete. Please check your mail. I've sent some of you things. Try and install it, and you get back in the group. Tell us how you're able to them. Put this in the send. I think I'll remove this. If you have any question, you can ask to like end the class, group all this off, send to you on WhatsApp. You see, I said yesterday that if you have laptop already and you're using it in the class, it can be long. In the class, if you might submit your assignments immediately. Like if you are following what I'm doing immediately in the class. So it will be more easier that way. I know laptop, I cannot do it for you. To export bots, we have here, we have this here and this. So if you use PDF, you export the whole page. Please don't use PDF and don't send me the CorelDRAW file. You export clicking on this arrow here. So this is the export button. Tap on it. So I'm going to go to class assignment. It's going to show PDF down here. Don't click on export. Change it. Unless your own show as JPEG immediately, you are fine. But if it doesn't show, remember to change it to JPEG. We're going to be explaining all those ones later on what they mean. You can make research on it. What is JPEG? What is PNG? What is PDF? Because as you keep designing on your clients, you have to send them various kind of files. So you see how I'm exporting them. I give them names, then I'm using different alphabets to specify them. So this will be of very So since nobody has any question now, we are going to end the class, right? I got on the account. Lily have a question. You understand? How do we download fonts?
Yes.
Okay. So when you go to Google here, if you know the name of the font, like the fonts I use most times, like that one I have there was, let's say you want to get Gallons. There's a font named Gallons. So if I say what you need to do, if I say download Gallons font free, you see stuff like this, different websites. So you click on the website to another the website you can download it from. Look at this font now. This is another font. This kind of font now, you should know what kind of font. This is a sans font because of these edges. So you click on download and it will download here. So you see it came in a zip file. So if you see something like this, it means that the file is zipped like this. You're gonna zip it. This way you're zipping that CorelDRAW file I'm sending you. So you right click. So me, I have WinRAR, so I'm going to just extract all, or you open anyone you want. So I'm going to extract all. So it's going to fold for me. Look at folder. The folder will be a whole lot of ones inside. But this Gallons is just, so what I need to do is just click on it and you click install, not for software. Now let's say you downloaded maybe Gilroy. Let me look for Gilroy font pack free. Font download. So this is Gilroy font family. I don't know which one has the complete one. Let me see this one. So if you scroll down, I think they will show you a download button. How the fonts look like. Yeah, so you see the download button. So it will be in a zip form. So sometimes there are fonts that you might see on pictures and you don't know what font that is, right? And you want to download that one also. It is very, very easy to download. All you need to do is just take a screenshot of that font, then come online here and you see find font. If you see find font, I think their website like that, you just upload the picture of that font and the website will find a similar font to that. So let's look at this Gallant, this Gilroy once it downloads. To look at find font. So everything is on Google. They are basically too easy to do. So if you say extract all like I did before, so you see Gilroy free. It's just two that came. And I wanted to see many so I can show you guys what I mean by installing a lot of them. So let's say the font is much, right? And you can't just keep clicking install, install, install. So you can go to our control panel. If you go to your control panel, some of you have your control panel outside. Or you can just search for font inside of your system. What is going on here? Yeah, control panel. So inside of the control panel, you can search for fonts here. Then you open the fonts panel. So here you can see all the fonts that are installed in your system, right? So you can basically just come here. So instead of clicking to install, you just highlight two of them, drag it and paste here. It's going to install. So if you have, if somebody has a lot of fonts pack and they send it to you in a zip file, you can basically just copy their fonts into your system and place them here. That is all. So I wouldn't take any more questions. I want to end the class now. So we'll see by this time tomorrow. So I will send the assignments and pictures. If I don't send anything this night, someone should remind me maybe in the morning or this night to send everything to your group. All right. So good night and have a nice rest. Bye bye.
Okay.